The hall was bright and busy. Warm lights hung from the ceiling. Long tables filled the room with wrapped gifts and small toy boxes. Volunteers moved in gentle lines. People spoke in calm voices. The air felt cheerful, but not everyone looked cheerful. Near a wide pillar at the back, a boy stood alone. He kept his hands inside the sleeves of a winter jacket that looked a little too big. His hair covered part of his forehead. He watched the room like he did not want to be noticed. Ray Walker walked past with a box in his arms. He was part of the biker crew helping with the holiday toy drive. His leather vest looked tough, but his eyes were quiet and kind. He had spent years showing up to events like this, not for praise, for the simple idea that every child should feel seen. Ray noticed the boy because the boy did not move. Everyone else was reading, choosing, smiling. The boy just stood there, small and still, as if he was waiting for the day to end. Ray set the box down on a table. He did not rush over. He did not want to scare the boy. He took a slow breath, then walked closer and stopped a few steps away. Ray, hey buddy, are you here with your family? The boy looked up fast, then looked away. His voice was low. Boy, I came with the home. Ray kept his tone soft. Ray, okay, that makes sense. Did you get to pick something yet? The boy shook his head once. Boy, I am fine. Ray glanced at the tables. So many gifts, so many choices. He looked back at the boy. Ray, you do not have to be fine. You can pick something. That is what today is for. The boy pressed his shoulder lightly against the pillar. He seemed to shrink into it. Boy, the little kids should get the good stuff. Ray felt the weight behind that sentence. It was not proud. It was not rude. It sounded like a rule the boy had learned. Ray, how old are you? Boy, 10, 11 soon. Ray smiled gently, like he was sharing a simple secret. Ray, 11 is still a kid. Kids deserve good things too. The boy did not answer. His eyes moved toward the crowd, then back down. Ray lowered himself a bit so he did not feel towering. Ray, what is your name? Boy, Eli. Ray, I am Ray. I help run this day with my friends. I'm glad you came, Eli. Eli nodded without looking up. Ray could see the boy was trying to stay calm, trying to stay invisible. Ray, Eli, can I ask you something real? Eli hesitated, then gave a small nod. Ray, if you could choose one thing for the holidays, what would it be? Eli swallowed. His mouth opened, then closed. He looked past Ray, like he hoped the question would disappear. Ray waited. He did not fill the silence. He let the boy take his time. Finally, Eli spoke. His voice was almost a whisper. Eli, I do not want presents. Ray stayed still. His face did not change. He did not look surprised. He just listened. Ray, okay, then what do you want? Eli's shoulders lifted and dropped, like he was holding something heavy inside. Eli, I just do not want to be alone again. Ray felt the words land in his chest, not like a shock, like a truth that had been waiting for someone to hear it. Ray, alone where? Eli stared at the floor. Eli, when the holidays come, people go places. Families come. Some kids go for visits. Some kids have someone. I stay. Ray kept his voice calm and steady. Ray, you stay at the home. Eli nodded. Eli, in the common room, with the TV. It is quiet. I try to be okay. I really do. Ray let out a slow breath. He looked at the busy hall. The lights, the laughter, the full tables. Then he looked back at Eli. Ray, thank you for telling me the truth. Eli's eyes flickered up for a moment. Eli, it is not important. I should not have said it. Ray shook his head slowly. Ray, it is important. And I am glad you said it. Eli's hands tightened inside his sleeves. He looked at the floor again. Eli, I heard people talking about a party. The bikers. Food and games. Families. I thought maybe you might need help cleaning up. I am good at cleaning. I could work for it. Just to be around people for a little while. Ray did not answer right away. The room felt loud again, but inside that small space by the pillar, everything felt quiet. Ray, Eli, stay right here for me. I am going to make a phone call. I will come back. I promise. Eli nodded, but his face showed he was not sure he believed promises. Ray stood up and walked toward the door, his mind moving fast. He did not know what the next step was yet. He only knew one thing. He was not going to leave that boy standing alone. Ray stepped outside into the cool air. The noise of the hall softened behind the door. He leaned against the wall and took a slow breath. He pulled out his phone and stared at the screen for a moment before calling home. His wife answered on the second ring. Maria. Hey, everything okay? Ray, I need to ask you something important. Maria heard the pause in his voice. Maria. Okay, I am listening. Ray looked back through the glass door. He could still see Eli near the pillar. The boy had not moved. Ray, there is a boy here. His name is Eli. He came with a group home. Maria. Okay, Ray, he does not want toys. He told me he just does not want to be alone during the holidays. The line stayed quiet. Not empty, just full. Maria. How old is he? Ray. 10. Almost 11. Maria took a breath. Maria. What are you thinking? Ray chose his words carefully. Ray. I am thinking that we have room. I am thinking that no child should feel invisible. And I am thinking that if we do nothing, I will regret it. Another pause. Then Maria spoke with calm certainty. Maria. Bring him home for the holidays. We will figure out the rest. Ray closed his eyes. The tight feeling in his chest eased. Ray. Are you sure? Maria. I am sure. Tell him he is welcome. Tell him he belongs. Ray. Thank you. Maria. No. Thank you for noticing him. Ray ended the call and stood still for a moment. He did not rush back inside. He wanted to be steady. He wanted to get this right. When he returned to the hall, Eli was still there. His eyes lifted the moment he saw Ray. Hope flickered, then quickly hid. Ray walked over and crouched again so they were eye level. Ray. Thank you for waiting. Eli nodded. Eli. I said I would. Ray smiled softly. Ray. I talked to my family. Eli's shoulders tensed. Eli. Okay. Ray. I want to ask you something, and you do not have to answer right away. Eli looked at his hands. Ray. How would you feel about spending the holidays with us? Not just dinner. The whole time. Eli looked up fast. Eli. What do you mean? Ray. I mean Christmas. The days after. Meals together. A room of your own while you are there. Eli shook his head slightly. Eli. I do not understand. Why would you do that? Ray did not rush. Ray. Because you matter. Because my home has space. And because being alone during the holidays is not something you should have to get used to. Eli's voice trembled. Eli. But I do not know you. Ray. That is true. But I know enough to care. And sometimes caring is how knowing begins. Eli looked around the room. The tables. The people. The lights. Then he looked back at Ray. Eli. Would I have to work? Ray frowned gently. Ray. No. There is no working. There is just being there. Eli swallowed hard. Eli. I might be quiet. Ray smiled. Ray. Quiet is welcome too. Eli stared at Ray's vest, then up at his face. His voice was barely steady. Eli. Is this real? Ray nodded. Ray. It is real. And if you say yes, we will make sure everything is done the right way. Eli did not speak. Instead, he stepped forward and held onto Ray's jacket with both hands. He did not cry. He just held on. Ray rested a hand on the boy's shoulder. Ray, you are not alone right now. They stayed like that for a moment. No rush. No crowd pressing in. Across the hall, a few bikers noticed. They did not stare. They did not interrupt. They simply stood a little taller, like they understood something important was happening. Ray finally spoke again. Ray, we will start with today. One step at a time. Eli nodded against Ray's jacket. Eli. Okay. Ray stood and offered his hand. Eli took it. Together, they walked back toward the lights. The next 2 days moved slowly and quickly at the same time. Ray made careful calls. He spoke with calm voices. He followed every rule. Nothing was rushed. Nothing was hidden. Everyone agreed that Eli staying with Ray's family for the holidays was a good step. When Ray told Eli the plan was approved, The boy listened very quietly. Ray, you will stay with us for the holidays. Just the holidays for now. Eli nodded. Eli, okay. Ray, is that okay with you? Eli nodded again. This time his eyes stayed up. Eli, yes, very okay. Ray drove a truck that evening instead of his motorcycle. He wanted Eli to feel comfortable. The boy climbed in with a small backpack. It looked light, too light for everything a child should have. They drove through streets lined with soft lights. Houses glowed warmly behind windows. Eli pressed his forehead lightly against the glass. Eli, people decorate a lot here. Ray, wait until you see our place. My wife loves lights. Eli gave a small smile. Came and went quickly like he was still learning how to trust it. When they arrived, the house was bright. Lights framed the roof. A tree shone through the front window. The door opened before Ray could knock. Maria stood there with open arms and a gentle smile. Maria, you must be Eli. Welcome. Eli froze for half a second, then stepped inside. Maria, you must be cold. Come in. You are safe here. The warmth inside felt different. Not loud. Not busy. Just steady. Ray's daughter Lily came down the stairs. Lily. Hi. I am Lily. Eli. Hi. Lily. We saved you some hot chocolate. No rush. Eli nodded, unsure what to do with his hands. Maria, you can put your bag here. We will show you your room. The room was simple. Clean sheets, a lamp, a small shelf. Nothing overwhelming. Eli stood in the doorway. Eli, this is mine. Ray, for now. Yes. Eli stepped inside slowly, like he was entering something important. That night, they ate dinner together. Eli spoke very little, but he listened closely. He noticed everything. The way people waited for each other to finish speaking. The way plates were passed. The way laughter sounded soft instead of sharp. Later, Ray found Eli sitting on the edge of the bed, looking at the lamp. Ray, everything okay? Eli, yes. I just did not know it could be like this. Ray sat in the chair nearby. Ray, like what? Eli thought for a moment. Eli, calm. The next morning, the house filled with familiar sounds. Coffee brewing. Quiet music. Footsteps moving without hurry. Eli came down the stairs fully dressed, backpack on. Maria noticed right away. Maria, you do not need that today. Eli, I just wanted to be ready. Maria smiled kindly. Maria, you are already ready. That afternoon, Ray's biker friends stopped by with boxes of food and decorations. They were respectful, calm, gentle in their movements and words. One by one, they greeted Eli. Biker, good to meet you. Biker, glad you are here. No one asked questions. No one stared. They treated him like he belonged. Later, as lights were hung and food was prepared, Eli stood beside Ray. Eli, they are nice. Ray, they are good people. Eli nodded. Eli, I think I like good people. Ray smiled. That night, as Eli lay in bed, he stared at the ceiling. Not because he was worried, but because for the first time in a long while, he did not feel the need to listen for the day ending. He felt something new settling in. Not excitement, not fear, just a quiet sense of being included. And for Eli, that felt like everything. The holiday days unfolded gently, one moment at a time. Eli woke early each morning, not because he had to, but because he wanted to see what the day would bring. He learned the rhythm of the house, the quiet before breakfast, the soft voices, the way people greeted each other without hurry. One morning, Maria found him standing near the kitchen doorway. Maria, good morning. Did you sleep well? Eli nodded. Eli, yes. I did not wake up in the night. Maria smiled at that. Maria, I am glad. They baked together later that day. Eli listened closely as Maria explained each step. He followed directions carefully, as if he did not want to make a mistake. Maria, you can relax. This is supposed to be fun. Eli, I know. I just like doing it right. Maria, doing your best is enough. Eli thought about that while he stirred the bowl. That afternoon, Ray took Eli for a short walk around the neighborhood. Lights hung from windows. Wreaths rested on doors. People waved as they passed. Eli, do they know me? Ray, they know you belong with us right now. Eli looked ahead, holding that idea quietly. Later, Lily invited Eli to play a board game. He hesitated at first, unsure of the rules. She explained them patiently. When he lost the first round, he waited for disappointment. It did not come. Lily, that was a good move. You almost had me. Eli looked up. Eli, really? Lily, really? Something shifted then. Just a little. Enough to notice. That evening, the house filled with voices again. Ray's friends arrived for a small gathering. They brought food, stories, laughter that stayed warm and respectful. Eli stayed close to Ray at first. He listened more than he spoke. One of the bikers knelt slightly to meet his height. Biker, you helping out today? Eli nodded. Eli, a little. Biker, that is good. Helping feels nice. Eli considered that. Biker, but you do not have to earn your place here. Eli blinked. Eli, I do not. Biker, no, you are welcome just as you are. Eli stood very still after that, as if letting the words settle. Later that night, Ray found Eli sitting by the tree. He was not touching the gifts beneath it. He was just looking. Ray, you can open those soon. Eli shook his head gently. Eli, I want to wait. Everyone together. Ray sat beside him. Ray, that is exactly how it works. Eli leaned back against the couch. His voice was quiet but steady. Eli, I did not know people waited for each other like this. Ray, the good ones do. On the morning of the holiday, they gathered in the living room. Pajamas, warm drinks, soft light. Eli watched as gifts were passed around. He waited until Maria nodded. Maria, go ahead. Eli opened his first gift slowly. A sweater that fit. He touched the fabric like it might disappear. Eli, this is mine. Ray, it is. The next gift made him pause. A book he had once mentioned liking. He looked up, surprised. Eli, you remembered. Maria, of course. Eli swallowed and opened the rest with careful hands. Nothing felt rushed. Nothing felt too much. At one point, Eli stopped and looked around the room. Eli, can I say something? Everyone looked at him. Eli, this is the best holiday I have ever had. No one corrected him. No one spoke right away. Maria simply placed an arm around his shoulders. Maria, we are happy you are here. Later, when the day grew quiet again, Eli helped clean up without being asked. Ray noticed. Ray, you do not have to do that. Eli smiled softly. Eli, I want to. That night, as Eli went to bed, he paused at the door. Eli, Ray, yes. Eli, thank you for coming back for me at the hall. Ray met his eyes. Ray, I am glad I did. Eli nodded and closed the door. He lay down with a calm he had never known before. For the first time, the holidays did not feel like something to endure. They felt like something to belong to. The days after the holiday felt softer, but different. The decorations stayed up. The lights still glowed. Yet Eli sensed a quiet shift in the air. Not sadness, just change. On the morning before the new week, Eli sat at the table, drawing slowly on a piece of paper. Maria watched from the kitchen. Maria, what are you making? Eli, a list. Maria, a list of what? Eli thought for a moment. Eli, things I do not want to forget. Maria nodded and let him continue. Later that afternoon, Ray found Eli on the porch, sitting with his backpack beside him. It was zipped, neat, and ready. Ray, you packing already? Eli did not look up. Eli, I wanted to be prepared. Ray sat next to him. They watched a car pass by in silence. Ray, you know you do not have to rush. Eli nodded. Eli, I know. I just do not want to make it hard. Ray turned slightly toward him. Ray, hard for who? Eli hesitated. Eli, for you. For Maria. For Lily. Ray listened carefully. Ray, Eli, being here was not hard. It was a gift. Eli looked down at his hands. Eli, it was the best time I have ever had. Ray felt the weight in that sentence. He spoke slowly. Ray, I feel the same way. That evening, the family sat together in the living room. The room was calm. No television. Just quiet presence. Ray cleared his throat. Ray. Eli, can we talk about something? Eli sat up straight. Eli. Yes. Ray. The holidays are ending. That part you already know. Eli nodded. He stayed very still. Ray. But Maria and I have been talking. A lot. Maria reached for Eli's hand. He let her. Maria. We want to keep showing up for you. Not just during special days. Eli looked between them. Eli. What does that mean? Ray chose his words with care. Ray. It means we would like you to stay with us longer. We would like to be part of your everyday life. If that is something you want too. The room stayed quiet. Eli's breathing slowed. He looked at the floor, then back up. Eli. I would not have to leave right away. Maria. No. Not if you want to stay. Eli's voice was small but steady. Eli. I am not very good at new things. Ray smiled gently. Ray. Neither were we. We learned together. Eli thought for a long moment. Eli. Would I still go to school? Maria. Yes. Eli. Would I still have rules? Ray. Yes. Fair ones. Eli nodded again. Eli. Okay. That single word held more courage than anyone in the room realized. The following morning, Eli unpacked his backpack. Slowly, carefully, he placed his clothes in the drawer, his book on the shelf, his list folded neatly beside the lamp. Ray watched from the doorway. Ray, you settling in? Eli looked around the room. Eli, I think so. Ray, good, because we are glad you are here. Later that day, Eli added one last thing to his list. He wrote it clearly. I am not alone. That night, the house grew quiet. Lights dimmed. Doors closed gently. Eli lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, but this time he smiled. Tomorrow was coming, and for the first time, he knew he did not have to face it by himself. The weeks that followed felt steady and real. Eli settled into school with a quiet focus. Each morning, Ray drove him there. Each afternoon, Maria asked about his day. No pressure, just interest. One evening, Eli sat at the kitchen table working on homework. He paused and looked up. Eli, is it okay if I ask something? Ray, always. Eli, why did you choose me? Ray leaned back and thought for a moment. Ray, I did not choose you because you were perfect. I chose you because you were honest. And because you spoke up when it was hard. Eli considered that. Eli, I was scared when I said it. Ray, bravery usually feels like that. Later that week, Ray took Eli back to the community hall. The same place, the same pillar. The room was quiet now. Eli stood where he had once waited alone. Eli, this is where you came back for me. Ray, yes. Eli nodded. Eli, I am glad you did. Ray rested a hand on his shoulder. Ray, so am I. As time passed, Eli changed in small ways. He stood a little taller. He spoke a little clearer. He laughed more easily. Not because anyone asked him to, because he felt safe enough to. One night, Maria found him adding to his list again. Maria, still writing. Eli, yes. Maria, what does it say now? Eli smiled. Eli, things I am becoming. Maria sat beside him. Maria, that is a good list. The months moved forward. Seasons shifted. The house stayed warm. One evening, Ray gathered everyone in the living room. Ray, Eli, we have something to ask you. Eli sat up straight. Eli, okay. Ray, we would like to keep being your family. Not just now. Not just for a while. We want to make it official if that is what you want. Eli's breath caught. He looked at Maria, then Lily, then back at Ray. Eli, you mean I do not have to leave? Maria, that is right. Eli blinked hard. Eli, ever. Ray, if you want to stay. Eli stood up slowly. His voice was steady. Eli, I want to stay. No one rushed him. No one clapped. Maria simply opened her arms. Eli stepped into them. Later that night, Eli lay in bed thinking about the path that led him here. One whisper, one person who listened, one moment of courage. The world did not change all at once, but his world did, and sometimes that is enough. Because family is not found by accident. It is built by showing up, by listening, by choosing kindness when it matters most. And it all began with a quiet voice that finally felt heard.